Hello, I am Rachel Morgan, a sales coach who works with retail business owners to help them convert their traffic into paying clients. Today, we're going to do things a little bit differently. If you have been paying attention, I recently did a collaboration project with Lindsey Burda of Burda Marketing on what marketing and sales looks like, good versus bad. And so I've invited her on today to chat about what that looks like and to share the collaboration process that we went through together. So instead of introducing her today, I'm going to as well. Lindsey is phenomenal, and I'm sure that you will see that as well. All right. There we go. Hello.
Hey.
So Lindsey, for anyone who doesn't know who you are, could you tell us briefly who you are and what you do?
Yes. So first off, sorry for the delay if anyone was waiting to join at like noon.
Yes, so sorry.
We were going to try and do this on LinkedIn and Instagram at the same time. Then we had some feedback and all kinds of stuff. But here we are now. So I am Lindsey Burda. I help passionate business owners to build a strong digital presence to bring in more leads online, making that cohesive, consistent digital presence across all touch points, to help you bring in more leads online.
Yes, I love that. So Lindsey is the attraction of the leads and I'm the conversion of the leads. So this is like such a great collaboration because we totally work in tandem together. So, and again, thank you for anyone that had been waiting. We tried to go live on both at the same time and it just didn't work out. So, and good morning to you too, Isaiah, and good afternoon, good evening to anyone else that's listening.
Yeah.
So, and hello again, Mark.
Yeah, hey.
So if you have been noticing, then Lindsey and I just completed a 3-part series on good versus bad marketing and sales. So we started at the customer journey all the way to the end. So if you could tell us a little bit more about that, Lindsey.
Yes. So yeah, as Rachel said earlier, we're like the perfect kind of matchup for a collab because marketing is all about bringing awareness to your business, getting people in the door. But then once they're in the door, how do you convince them to buy? How do you keep them coming back for more? So we go from marketing to sales, and that's exactly what our collaboration did. So we started with that awareness page, where are they finding you? How are they hearing about you? Which is typically online, right? Typically we're going to look at a website, and we're really going to decide, is this something that we want to pursue? If we do, and if it's easy to pursue, like we said in our tab, are they putting up roadblocks? Is it hard to contact them? Is the website confusing? That sort of thing. So what makes a good versus bad website, and marketing interaction there. Then once you actually decide to book a call and you're on that sales call, how are they treating you? Are they making you feel special? Are they making you feel appreciated and welcome? That is going to make you decide if you want to pursue working with them. And again, so those bad versus good interactions, what's going to make them convert and what's going to drive them away. And then once they do work with you, what is that customer or client experience like? Are they having a good experience? Do they want to come back for more? And more importantly, what are they going to say to their friends once they leave? Are they going to a friend and be like, oh my God, Lindsey, that was a horrible experience? Like you said.
Right.
Or are they going to be like, oh my God, no, that was such a great experience. You should come with me next time, sort of thing. So it's kind of like once you get to that stage, it's so crucial because if someone has a bad experience, you might not just lose that customer, you could lose that customer and then anyone else they talk to. So you could lose 2, 3, 4 fold. And then same with a great experience. If you provided someone with a great customer experience, you not only maybe retained and will have that return business, but could get more as a result of that word of mouth marketing.
Yeah. I like you memorized that up so quickly and so fast. And, for anyone joining now, Lindsey and I are chatting about marketing and sales, good versus bad. And the reason that we decided to talk about both of them is because they're so often misunderstood as being the same thing, but they're actually quite different and they have completely different skill sets, but they work together so well. Yeah. And so we wanted to really illustrate the difference of that and the impact of that. And one of the best ways to understand that is to look at the good and the bad.
Yeah.
And so as we're chatting, if anyone has any questions that they would love answered or anything like that, please do share with us in the comments. And, one thing we're going to do as well is share a couple of stories with you and experiences so you can see even further And so if you have a good story or something, we'd love for you to share that with us as well in the comments.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and to our collaboration, I want to point out too, was really from the client or the prospect's perspective. You know, a lot of times we're is, you know, here's what you need to do, here's how you need to do it. But then what's the effect of those things, right? So we want to show why you should be doing these things and the impact that it's having on your clients, customers, and your business. So I know I would love to just jump right into the experiences we've had in life that relate to this collaboration. So
Sure.
do you want me to start?
Um, sure. Why don't you tell us, yeah, go ahead and start. Tell us all about it. And I think, keep in mind, we're going to be sharing stories from start to finish. And a lot of it is based on how we feel and the perception that we now have based on the marketing and the sales. And so it's try to see yourself in these stories, because I know that we've all been there. We can definitely relate. So yeah, share with us, Lindsey. Tell us about your experiences.
Yes. So I have two experiences to share, and the one was from quite a few years ago. So this one was from, I think it was like 12 or 15 years ago. So
okay,
probably 14 years ago. So just keep in mind, that's how, like, it's still in my mind, right? All those years. So this experience was, I had a friend coming to visit, and we were going to go to New York City. So we were looking to book a hotel. Now, before we actually got there, or before we were booking the hotel, weeks before, we were looking on, third-party sites, like booking sites. And we had found a hotel that was perfect. It had great reviews. It was right near Times Square, which is where we wanted to be. So then as it got closer to our trip, we decided to just look for that, instead of going to the third-party site, to just Google their name and find their website and book that way. Well, when we did that, we found two hotels by the same name. And so that was confusing enough. But when we found these two websites, same name, so we're like, which hotel is it? One website was beautiful, modern, sleek, gorgeous, like, oh, you want to stay there? And the other one was old, outdated. I mean, it looked like one of the first websites ever built. It was using like all the bad things you hear about. And so I was like, I don't know which one it is. I asked my friend, like, I don't know, which one do you think it is? And it was so funny because without hesitation, she goes, oh, it has to be that one. And she was talking about the gorgeous website based on nothing else. She only knew the name and that the website looks nice. That was it. And so she was like, it has to be that one. And so I'm like, well, I don't want to book without double checking. So we dug a little deeper, and through digging a little deeper, we found out that no, that wasn't the website. It was actually the horrible website, was the place that we were planning to stay. And so it made us question if we wanted to stay there or not. We're like, well, do we want to stay? Like, I'm definitely not booking through this website because I'm not putting my credit card information in there. Like, it was so outdated and all those things. And so we ended up going back to the third-party website to book the call, to book the hotel, book the hotel there, because again, we didn't feel safe putting it in their old, outdated website. And the only reason we did that and decided to stay there is because that third-party booking site, which was our first impression of them, was a good first impression. We saw the reviews, we saw photos from the reviews, all of that. That is what saved and what made us book that hotel. If we would have saw their website first, there is no way we would have chose to stay there. There's just no way. There were other hotels around that had much better representation online. We would have went with another hotel, hands down. Right. So it just shows how powerful simply the design of your website is, and if that reflects the actual business.
Right. I think it's really easy to think, okay, well, I'm not a hotel. I don't have brick and mortar, right? If you're listening, I have just an online presence. But this just shows and demonstrates how your reputation is set for you through your content, through your presence, through your website. And so really asking yourself, how do I want to be perceived? And if you're not willing to invest in a positive and like easy to navigate and like, there's so much that goes into it, right? Presence, it kind of communicates what it's going to be like to interact with you, right? And so you probably wouldn't have booked with this hotel if, like you said, simply because of the experience that you had with them, because you're like, this is a little shady. I don't feel comfortable with it. Um, so think about that. Like, how do other people feel interacting with you that you're not even like realizing?
Yeah. And I like that you said it, just because that was an example of a hotel doesn't mean that that same, those same principles don't apply to every and all business, because it does. It doesn't matter if you are a service-based business, a product-based business, you're in, you're in the travel and tourism industry, you're in coaching space, you're in whatever it is, you're in finance, whatever it is, that your online presence needs to how you want people to perceive you, and it should match up with what you actually are. So if you're a high-end business or brand, does your website reflect that? If you're a fun casual brand, does your web presence reflect that sort of thing?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Does your interaction line up with your website presence as well? That's really important. Is it the same, right? Experience in both places. And so go ahead.
Say real quick, it'd be like meeting someone for the first time somewhere and they're one way, and then you meet them at like an event or a gathering somewhere and they're like a completely different person. And you're like, well, that's weird. Like, that's shady. Like, they're acting like a completely different person. And that's how we feel when we find you on social media and then we go to your website and they don't match. Or we have a great experience digitally with your, then we go in person and it's horrible. It's like, well, that was weird. That didn't match up,
Yes. I know we didn't really touch on that in our collaboration, but, and we don't really have stories of that either, but having an amazing website and then actually interacting, doing business with you falls short, right? And so it can go actually both ways. You can still nail it online, but not be so good when it comes to sales or the customer experience.
Yeah. Yes.
So I have an example. We have so many examples. So again, anyone tuning in now, please share examples with us. I love a good story. So go ahead and comment down below. So I was in the market. I wanted a little dog, and it's like so hard to figure out, like, where do you start? Like, do you go to a shelter? Do you ask for referrals? Do you Google it? Like, how do you, like, what's trustworthy when you want a dog? Like, what do you do? And so I decided I wanted a Havanese. My sister-in-law has a Havanese. And so I reached out to her and I said, where did you get your dog? He's 9. So I'm like, maybe they're not still in business, but they are. And so she sent me the information and she's like, okay, go take a look. So I'm like pulling up the website on my phone and I'm like, it is just like not working on my phone. So I'm going to try this on my computer. So I was so determined.
Yeah.
So your dog is barking.
Perfect timing.
Perfect timing. And so I'm going on their website and I'm trying to like learn what they're about, because I want to see, okay, do I see myself in this person? Do I want to do business with them? And so there's this like giant blank white space. And I'm like, this is like so weird. I had to scroll down to figure it out. Every page did not answer my questions. Everything was all over the place. I could not for the life of me figure out how to contact them. I couldn't figure out if they even had available dogs, how many dogs they had, where they're located even. All I knew is that they were in Washington State, where I am. And so I had like more questions by going through their website than I did before I went on their website.
Yeah.
And so I figured out how to email them. I sent them an email and I said, here's my situation. Here's what I'm looking at. Can you tell me anything? And they were so nice. They responded immediately. They answered everything. They were knowledgeable, like just such a great experience when I finally reached out. But since Lindsey and I had been working on this collaboration project, I was like, oh, she needs to see this website. She's going to die. And so I sent her the link. Yeah. And I was like, Lindsey, what do you think of the website? She's like, well, I'm still waiting for it to load. And I was like, no, you need to scroll down. Yeah. And so their navigation wasn't even there. There was no photo. It was just a big blank white space, right?
Yeah.
And so in her mind, she's like, it's never loaded. And so, how many people are going to sit around and wait for that, right? And they're just going to leave because they're like, I don't have time for this. Like, this is shady. But as soon as you scroll down, all the information was there.
And it wasn't even, and yeah, it was there, but yet it was very odd, just the way it was presented. And I remember I was moving my cursor and I moved my, when there's a link, your cursor changes, but there was nothing there. And so it was was like there was something to click on, but I couldn't see it. And I clicked on it and it took me to another page. I mean, the user experience was so, I mean, it was just all broken. Like the website, there were just so many broken things on the website. And what's sad about that is and you know, it's not a representation of how you interacted with them, which is the sad part, because they were so lovely. And that's what's hard, is because your online presence will either roadblock people or get them to reach out to you. And if they roadblock the business, you're just never getting your chance.
Yeah.
You are the best at what you do, the best of the best, but your online presence doesn't reflect that. Roadblocked. And then, like we said earlier, the opposite could happen, is you could have great marketing and all of that, but then someone calls you and your sales are horrible. You treat them badly and they have a horrible experience with you on the call or in person. And so then it's like, well, now the digital stuff doesn't matter because you're getting people in, but they're not sticking around.
Right. Right. And it almost kind of communicated to me that, you know, they're good at what they do. They're experts. It's very clear, but that it was kind of like, I'm supposed to have a website presence. I'm just going to throw together a website. It's really not that important, but at least people can find me, right? It was a very like afterthought, but most people start online when they're looking at hiring someone. And so that is that first touch point. And if I had not gotten that referral, I never would have reached out. And so like, I'm sure like there's other ways for them to sell their dogs and whatnot, but it just, it's not only them. Right? Like it can so easily happen to anybody. And so I think the moral of that story is it's really important to take your web presence seriously. And little things make a big difference.
Oh, yeah. And I've even been looking for particular services, and I will Google them, and they'll have like a Google business profile or whatever, and it'll say website, and you click to go to the website. They don't have a website. It takes you to a Facebook page. And I'm like, that just doesn't feel professional, reputable, trustworthy to me, because anywhere can set up a Facebook page like that. It's just not reputable. So, and really too, depending on, I mean, this applies to any and all businesses, like we said, but especially certain businesses as well. For example, if you were looking for a financial advisor to manage your retirement, would you hire the financial advisor that only had a Facebook page? Or would you be looking for a website to see their credentials, to see what broker-dealer they're associated with, to see all of those important information? I mean, you know, it's yeah. So it really too depends on that. Like, is your online presence matching the level of trust you need to gain the what was the word I used earlier? Like the high end versus, you know, like
I'm totally blanking on it too.
yeah, but something like that. You just have to make sure it all matches. Yeah,
the lines. It's it works together. Yeah.
Yeah, it really.
Now, Lindsey, you have a story about an amazing experience where everything went right.
Yes. Yes. So yeah, this is pretty much perfect example. This is, so I live, we had at the old place I used to work, we would have an annual event every year. People flying in from all over, and we would host it at the Hotel Hershey in Hershey, Pennsylvania. And this place is absolutely amazing. Everything from all of their marketing down to customer experience, all of that. So when we were planning the event, they made everything so easy. Everything that we needed to book, everyone that we needed to talk to reserve rooms, to reserve space, all of those things. Absolutely lovely to work with. And the whole process very easy. And then once we got there, like they treated us like, I felt like a celebrity. Like they literally treated us like celebrity. And I mean, everything from just the check-in process to the basket of chocolates that were waiting for me when I got into the room, to the way every person in that hotel treated you, from the valet to the bellman to the cleaning staff, to everybody treated you like amazing. And so, you know, then I thought, okay, well, we're hosting this event here. They're probably told, you know, make sure you treat them really well, which is very important, right? Make sure you treat them really well. But I've also been to this hotel as just a normal patron, and I was treated no differently. I was treated just as well as a normal patron
Mm-hmm.
as I was as someone hosting a large corporate event at their venue. So it just goes to show you that customer experience, it wasn't based on stature or
Mm-hmm.
how much someone's spending here,
Mm-hmm.
really just based on business. And that is the best thing you can do, because like me, everyone's going to leave there raving about it. And one experience that happened there that really pushed it over the top for me was I had a bunch of boxes and things in my room I needed to take downstairs. And so I'm gathering up all these boxes. I don't have a cart or like a bellhop or anybody to help me. But I was fine. I didn't need that. So I gather up all my stuff, and I am kind of struggling to get out the door and make sure it locks. And down the hallway, way down the hallway, probably 8, 10 doors down, I didn't even notice this person until I heard, "Miss Burda, do you need assist? Do you need any help? Do you want me to call a bellman to help you?" And I was like, oh, thank you, but no, I'm fine. Like, I can handle, you know, I got this. I really appreciate that, though. She goes, "Are you sure?" And I was like, yeah. She was just so nice and so attentive. And then I was like, how did she know my name? And how did she know that was me from way
Mm-hmm.
down the other end of the hall? You know, it really made me feel special, like appreciated, and frankly, kind of like a little bit of a celebrity. Uh, you know, and so I was like, wow, that was really, really amazing. Just to have that little, well, little but big, just taking that extra little step to make someone feel appreciated like that. And here I am talking about it. And we had our event years and years in a row. We kept going back for that reason, because we had our event at another venue for quite a few years, and it always felt like work. I mean, it was work, it was,
Mm-hmm.
but it felt like work. Everything I needed to book or to plan just seemed not as clear, not as easy to navigate, to do. If I needed anything during the event, it was like, where's my person? Where I have to go, I have to find my person,
Mm-hmm.
kind of thing. Where at the Hotel Hershey, I would be like getting people into like, you know, go get their meals and things like that. And they would come up to me and say, "Hey, Lindsay, make sure you take time to eat too." Like, they were just there, like, to make sure everything was running smoothly. So yeah, every single touch point, absolutely amazing. And I know I sound like a commercial for them, but there you go. That's proof right there. That is word of mouth marketing. So everything from or from marketing in the first place to get us there, to actually have our event there, to then come back full circle to
Mm-hmm.
experience, and now we're talking about it again. We're back to marketing for them. So
Yeah. I hope so many light bulbs are going off for all of you that are listening. First of all, there is so much power in using someone's name, because no, like, literally hearing your name is like the sweetest thing you can hear. Like, there's psychology behind it.
mm-hmm.
And so people feel seen and heard and VIP. And so using someone's name actively can make a massive difference on whether or not they trust you, they do business with you, their perception of you, right? And so you often see that in really high-end things too. Like, I think about a bank, when they hand you back your card, they always say your name, right? So um, that's a huge takeaway. The other thing that you said, which was really interesting, was that you almost felt like you had to work in order to do business with these other hotels. Whereas the good experience, they took care of you. They were one step ahead of you. They thought of your needs and anticipated them before you had a chance to, and were there. And they already had a plan on how they were going to do it. And that, I mean, that's just good sales. That's good customer experience, right? And now the marketing comes back because you're talking about it, and now you are advocating for them and selling for them. And so that is really powerful to think about when you're interacting with your customers. Are you waiting for them to have a problem and come to you? Or are you anticipating that problem before it happens and checking in with them? Are you there for them, advocating for them?
Mm-hmm.
So
Such a,
that is such a good
yeah.
point.
Yeah.
And I want to point out too, Renee said, I've been in groups where they know how to gain clients, but their customer experience over time proved shady. So I totally agree with you about customer experience.
Yeah. Yeah. Because, that customer experience, like we said, that leads then to you
Mhm.
marketing word of mouth. And if you have a bad experience, you can not only not go back to that business, but you can cause them to lose business by who you're talking. So it's like they don't just lose you, they lose possibly anyone you come into contact with as well.
Mhm.
So it's 2, 3, 4-fold that they're losing business. Where then if you have a good experience, they're not just going to get your repeat business, the business of the friend you bring or the friend you tell or the family you tell your story to. So they're going to gain business
Mhm.
3, 4-fold. So it's like when you lose, you lose more. And when you win, you win more. When you get to that stage of
Yep.
after they've gone through that entire process and now they're telling and talking to people. Yeah.
Yeah. So I want to share a story with you. I know this is going to be the 1 year experience, but the more I think about it, there's actually more here. And I know you want me to talk about the web one, but
No, that's
um, so I love wine, and so I wanted to check out this new winery, and I wanted to try it because like it's just good. Like that's how you experience new things. So I walked into this winery. I had an appointment set up. My friend was meeting me. She was running a little bit behind, which is fine. I was a little early, to be honest. And so I started connecting with the person who's going to be serving us and helping us. And so we got to know each other. We found out our backgrounds, what we knew. We just kind of got like really personal. It was just like a really nice conversation. And so by the time my friend showed up, she already knew my friend's name because I told her. She knew my name. I knew her name. And so we were like all pals meeting up, right? And so my friend just like walked into this amazing experience and sat down. And so we started our tasting, and she ended up tweaking it based on our preferences, which was phenomenal because she listened to what we wanted, right? Instead of just getting us through. And so she started pouring, and with every pour, she explained the story of it, how it was made, the thought that went into it. And so it really felt like this like special experience, drinking it, experiencing it, right? And we were having a great time. And so it was so good that we almost like hyped her up to want to give us additional tastings because she wanted us to experience what she knew about the brand too. And she was excited. And we did get some extra tastings, which was super generous. But at one point, she stepped away and someone else subbed in for her. And during that like 10-minute break, she brought us a glass, put it on our table, told us what it was, and walked away. There was no storytelling. There was no rapport building. It was, and to this person, they're probably like, well, I did my job. Like I delivered what they needed, what they wanted, right? And so I thought, okay, maybe this person just was like that because clearly we had built this connection with someone else and she was just filling in. But they like just were cold. Like I don't even think I got their name. Like it was just very like in and out. And so I observed them and I watched how they interacted with other customers that they were taking care of. And it was the same thing with every customer. And so at the end of that, my friend and I agreed that we were like, we have to buy a bottle from this first person because they were so amazing that we would feel guilty if we didn't do business with them because they made us feel so special and they put in so much effort. And we did. We both bought a bottle. We spent more than we expected because we were like, this is really good wine. We really enjoyed it. Like it kind of made the experience. But we both also agreed that we never would have bought from the second person because there was nothing about that stood out. Nothing was personalized. Like
yeah.
there was nothing
They
special, right?
that emotional connection to it like the first
Right.
one did. Yeah.
So now going back to marketing, I was like, this is such a great example of how things can go amazingly well and just okay. And then, for so many of us, right, how often do we see the second thing where we're like, we just delivered what they asked for, we did our job, we did it right, but they're not taking that extra step to go a little bit further.
Mm-hmm.
And so I shared about this on my stories and I tagged the business and they
Oh.
never opened up the DM. They viewed my stories, but they never commented. And I was very hyping up how amazing they were. So no response to that, as in like, thank you so much for visiting us, or we're so glad you had a good experience. Nothing. And so I
Wow.
was like, wow, this is interesting. This changes my perception of the business and whether or not I want to go back. Because
Yeah.
they simply didn't acknowledge me,
Yeah.
giving them a review. And of course, they threw in the, hey, the other girl wasn't so great, but that's feedback,
Yeah.
right? That
Mm-hmm.
they should listen to. And then I got the girl's card that helped us that day. She was so amazing. It was like, I want to rave about you. And so I emailed her and she replied immediately. And she's like, let me know before you're coming in. I'll make sure that I'm there. We'll set it up again. And she like completely remembered who I was and details and everything. And so this girl, like, that girl is amazing. And
That
if
girl,
that girl was not there, yeah,
yeah.
if that girl was not there, I would not go back. And so I think that also illustrates the importance of like recognizing that one employee is not the business, but it can also set the tone for how you feel about a business.
Oh, it can
And
be
that,
this for
yep.
sure. Mm-hmm. Because quite a few things I want to say about that. That's such a good story. So firstly is the reciprocity, right? She
Mm-hmm.
gave you more than you were, she under promised, over delivered. So she gave you more than you were expecting. So that reciprocity feeling kicks in where you're like, well, she did so much for us. She didn't have to do. Now I feel guilty. So I want to give back to her. And you did that by purchasing a bottle of wine.
Mm-hmm.
There's that reciprocity, right? That's marketing psychology right there for you. And then who's running their social media? Because
Yeah.
that digital experience is so important as well. It's not just the in-person experience, it's the digital experience as well, because we live in such a digital world now. So if you were trying to, hype them up and you're expecting that kind of reciprocity now in return too. You're expecting, just a thank you really is all you need. And to not even get that's kind of like,
Mm-hmm.
not that you did it for the thank you, but it's kind of, it, it feels good when you do get that.
It sets a reputation. And it like maybe just because, obviously we work in marketing sales, but I see that as like they are not customer centric. And
Yeah.
I just happen to have the one employee that was, but they do not train that forward in their business. It is extremely transactional, like, and all because they didn't acknowledge. That's it.
Yeah.
And like, it was such a minor thing, but that's why it's so important when you receive feedback that you acknowledge it immediately.
Yes. And, real quick, I have another quick story because when you
Yeah.
said the one employee kind of changing the trajectory of, the business or return business of a business like that. I was looking for a business quite a few years ago online, and I was reading reviews for this business, and all of the reviews were great for the main person in the business. I'm like, oh my gosh, she's so wonderful. She's so great to work with. Really, really great reviews. Well, the more I start reading the reviews, I'm seeing like 5-star reviews and I'm seeing like 1-star reviews. And I'm like, okay, interesting. So I'm reading the 1 to 2-star reviews, and they're all like talking about the main, let's call her Sarah, the main person. I think that was her name actually. This Sarah, they were like, she's amazing. And it was a local business here too. And they're like, amazing, but the receptionist is so rude. And I kept seeing this over and over and over again. And they're like, we had to stop going there because the receptionist was so rude to us. She didn't make us feel welcome. We felt uncomfortable sitting there waiting, and so it's just crazy how everyone loved working with the person whose business it was. But the receptionist was so bad that it literally caused people to stop going there. And so, again, all those little touch points, matter. You could have the best, be the best at what you do, but if somewhere along that journey, someone has a bad experience, that could be the end of the journey for them. It could be your, it could be the first call they have with you. It could be someone else, like the receptionist in the office. It could be any touch point. So all of these things, that's when we talk about consistency. We're not just talking about consistency, show up, every other day or every day and post. That's consistent as far as your timing is consistent. But also, is every touch point consistent? Are you showing up the same everywhere? Are you treating people the same everywhere? That sort of thing.
Yeah. That just goes to show that every single person on your team is a salesperson, whether they're actively selling or not, because they're going to influence your sales. And like, I know that this is a totally different conversation. So all I want to say is that your employees should be making you business and sales. They should not be retracting from it. And I think, having been a leader myself and having my own team, it's really easy to get caught up in their day to day and their life and like feel sympathetic, right? That we keep giving them chances. But business is business, right? And that receptionist is like a gatekeeper. And if that first impression coming in is not good, like you said, people are out. And so, it's no hard feelings sometimes. Sometimes people just aren't good fits, but you really have to take your team seriously because they are representing you and your reputation. And, like they say, it takes every single day, years to build up a reputation and seconds to destroy it. And one bad employee could destroy it. Right?
Yeah.
And
that's
I always would come from the mindset too, is don't hire skilled people. Hire people that are friendly. Because you can't make people be nice, but you can train them to do what you need them to do.
Can't make people be nice.
It's true. You can't.
Mm-hmm. And that is so underrated. Those soft skills are so underrated. I know I did a whole podcast on this like a couple years ago, just the importance of soft skills, because you can be the best at what you do. You can have the best marketing that brings a lot of people in, but as soon as they get in the door, they feel not appreciated. They feel like treated well. All the greatest marketing in the world is not going to bring them back, because that bad experience, once you make someone feel that way, it is really, really hard to get them back. And even that can even start with your digital presence too. Like I know I told you 88% of people who have a bad website experience will not return to that website, which means they're not going to even bother reaching out, booking a call, anything. Done. End of the journey for them. And that's a stat from HubSpot. So, it's like all these touch points matter. That first impression matters so, so much, no matter where it happens, digitally, and word of mouth from a friend, right? It doesn't matter.
And it's not just thinking about the touch points that lead up to a sale. It's the touch points after the sale as well. And I think we agree is that it kind of ends when the sale is made. But why can't people come back or refer you? And so thinking about that after, and marketing and selling after that point as well is very important.
Yeah.
Well, anyways, I hope that our stories demonstrate and illustrate this in a really easy to understand way. I know that we are both super passionate about sharing stories, and obviously like hearing one triggers another one, and I'm sure and hope that it did for you as well. And so if any stories come up for any of you, please do reach out. I literally want to hear them. Like, I love it. Maybe it's like I love like hearing the tea on things, but I just love it because it's like,
well, I think
you start to see it.
I think with what we do, we're natural observers, so we want to hear other people's experiences so we know what to do going forward. It's like market research for us.
It is.
Right?
It is.
Tell us your stories. We learn from everybody around us, including our own experiences, and that's how we can keep improving for ourselves and our clients going forward.
Observation is so powerful. It's so easy to get caught up in the day-to-day and not see things, but taking that moment to step back and observe and just see what's happening is so powerful. And reflecting on those experiences for yourself too. I mean, that's how I know you and I have both learned over the years, is going through these experiences and being that consumer. And we often forget what it's like. And so I think that's when things go wrong, is that we kind of lose that. We're not thinking about what it's like to actually be the consumer. But when you observe and you think about it and you're like, wow, that was so amazing. How can I bring that into my business? That's when you start succeeding and having those customer-centric focuses.
I think that's the biggest takeaway from this, is to step back and try to look at your business, every touch point from the outside as a consumer. I know that can be very, very difficult because we're so close to it. But really try to step back, look at everything from your website, your social media presence, how do you conduct your calls? Are you really listening? Are you being empathetic? To the actual client experience, are you under promising and over delivering? Those sorts of things. So all of those touch points. And then what are you doing after they've bought from you? Are you following up with them to check in? Like, do you genuinely care how they're doing after they used your services? That sort of thing. Yeah.
Yep. I love it. Well, Lindsey, if people are like, oh my gosh, she gets it, I need to know more, like, before you even say anything, I just want to say, like, collaborating with Lindsey has been phenomenal. And I've done a lot of collaboration. I've met a lot of people, and I've never met someone who's so on top of everything. So, like, every day she'd text me, here's the video and the caption for the day. So I was prepared to share however I wanted, right? Just very, like, easy to talk to, very easy to have discussions with, just detailed. And you really want that from someone that you interact with and you work with, right? You want someone who is on it, that you don't feel like you have to take the initiative to hear from them.
Someone who,
And so, yeah.
yeah.
So just
thank you.
working with Lindsey as a collaborator has been a phenomenal experience. And so I know that the client experience actually working and hiring her would be 10 times better. So, and I can't even, like, imagine what that would look like, but I know it would be.
Oh,
So,
thank you. And I feel about you. You've been really great to work with, and you're just so easy to talk to. And so I know that whoever's working with you is getting the attention they need.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, Lindsey, how can people find you, and what does it look like to work with you?
So, so people can find me obviously here on Instagram. You can find me online, burdamarketing.com. And so all of my information is there as well. And like I said, I partner with passionate business owners who want to build a strong digital presence to bring in more leads online, right? Focus on all those touch points. And and I always say I'm a proactive partner, right? We work together. I don't sit around waiting for you to tell me what you need, because you might not even know what that is. So I am proactive, right? Helping you build that digital presence that will bring leads.
I love that. And I wholeheartedly believe that. So, well, thank you, Lindsey, of course, for joining. And I hope that anyone that felt inspired through these stories, please go check out our 3-part collab. We did 3 different reels that really illustrate it and paint the picture and storytell. And again, if anyone has any stories, seriously reach out. I would love to hear them.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Rachel. This is really fun. This has been a fun week.
Yes. Thank you so, so much. All right, everyone, have a wonderful day. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.